Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We welcome you once again to the airwaves of Salam Media on the various platforms of Salam Media, and we welcome our listeners, our viewers. And it is Wednesday nights. It is in conversation with myself, Inayat Wadi, and always wonderful being with you on this Wednesday evening. And two very, very important issues that we will be focusing on this evening. And these are issues that are very, very close to our heart. We are talking about two of the longest occupations and the most brutal occupations as well. One just slightly older than the other, and that being Kashmir being occupied by India. And later on, we will be focusing on the genocide in Gaza. So the entire discussion this evening for the next 2 hours is going to be focused on these two very, very important aspects. And from time to time, we are being reminded about Kashmir as and when developments and issues arise. And when one looks at the state of affairs in Jammu and Kashmir, particularly after over the past 6 years, after the abrogation of what is termed as Article 370, we just find that this occupation is now being taken to another level. And the genocide that we see unfolding in Gaza right now is a real threat in Kashmir as well, considering that we have two of the most brutal, ultra supremacist, racist, right wing governments that we've come to know in recent times. And together with their leadership, the likes of Narendra Modi and Benjamin Netanyahu, two peas in the same pod, and really they complement each other in each and every way. And this is the reason why we are speaking this evening with Irfan Quraishi, who is a television journalist, a multimedia professional from Kashmir. He has got a career spanning over 15 years across print, electronic, and digital media. And I must say that also award winning journalist as well. So we certainly are fortunate to have Irfan Quraishi with us. And also joining him is a stalwart in the struggle for Kashmir for a very, very long time, and also human rights as well. Salman Khan, the founder, chairman of Kashmir Global Movement, and also the South African Kashmir Action Group. Irfan Quraishi, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome and Jazakallah khairan so much for your time.
Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam.
Jazakallah. And also to you, Salman, Assalamu alaikum to you, my brother.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you, to Brother Ponti, and to all the Islam Media team and all the beautiful listener of your radio station. Jazakallah khair for having us on this very important topic.
Well, it certainly is an important topic, Irfan. And, obviously, with someone like yourself, a career spanning over 15 years across various media platforms and covering Kashmir intensely over this period of time. And in my introduction, I alluded to the fact that Kashmir, even an older occupation than Palestine, and there's just so much in terms of history in well over 7 decades that one can actually talk about Kashmir. And sometimes I just feel that Kashmir doesn't get the attention it deserves on the global stage, considering it's equally as brutal as the occupation of Palestine, which has been the case over 70 years.
Definitely Kashmir have been, a serious issue globally since last many decades between India and Pakistan that people across globe know, and United Nations has also several times raised concerns, and this has been remain an issue between India and Pakistan. But since I believe there are, both claims and counter claims between India and Pakistan over the Kashmir, and that has definitely some political developments in past few years in Kashmir. That's what we are talking about today. That is the state of affair in Jammu and Kashmir post abrogation. Now you can see that the all the international performers since last many years have now stopped to talk about Kashmir political issue, between India and Pakistan. But since now the various, very serious concern in Jammu and Kashmir is the abrogation of Article 370 and Article 35A in 2019, and that has led to the mass protests across Kashmir. In fact, the mainstream political parties have also since 2019 raised serious questions on the Bharatiya Janata Party led government in the center. Now, as you see, there are also lot of escalations between the two countries along the line of control, over the Kashmir. In fact, India also blamed Pakistan for terrorism in Kashmir, and definitely, as you know, recently we have witnessed the Operation Sindoor that was led by the India. But Pakistan also had certain claims over the facts of the Operation Sindoor. But the point is that the Kashmir has now transisted, but towards a different political scenario since last many years now, because it was a matter of a political dispute between the two countries, and both the countries had claimed for this part of Kashmir. But now the Bharatiya Janata Party led government in India has abrogated the Article 370, and now demand has shifted from the freedom struggle to the revocation of the Article 370 and 35A in last many years. In fact, there are also apprehensions that the present government may, further, trifurcate, in fact, the Jammu and Kashmir, because it has already bifurcated between Jammu, Kashmir, and Ladakh, and has turned Kashmir and Jammu into a different union territory, and Ladakh also bifurcated from the state of J&K. Now there are also, continuous demands. In fact, there is also intervention of the Supreme Court for the several political concerns regarding the Jammu and Kashmir. Which is, in fact, as you also said, the dispute between the two countries that need international attention, which is lacking since last many years now. But Kashmir is in a transition. That is a serious transition. People here are definitely, facing a lot of political issues, and the concerns in past few many years have changed from the struggle for the resolution of Kashmir to the restoration of statehood and the special status of Jammu and Kashmir. That is what we have to understand, and definitely the government in the center, led by the Bharatiya Janata Party, has tried their best to integrate the Jammu and Kashmir into the mainstream of Union of India. But there are also, protests. There are also concerns that are yet to address, and United Nations are also being appealed upon by the several stakeholders time to time to intervene into the political, resolution of the state of Jammu and Kashmir.
Yes, Jazakallah for that, Irfan. And let's just bring Salman into the discussion. Salman, there is just so much reference that is being made to Article 370. And we know a lot has changed in Jammu and Kashmir after the abrogation. But let's just put it in simple words, because, we want to utilize Article 370 as a discussion point. But just to understand, what is Article 370 and why this is so relevant to this discussion that we are having tonight?
Jazakallah khair for having me. And is like, is Fasabbih Bismi Rabbikal A'la Allazi, all the praises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator, the perisher, the protector, and whatever between the heaven and the earth. And all the salutation go to our Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Once again, thank you for the Islam media for being with the solidarity of Kashmiri people for many years, and especially the Inad Bhai and Ponti, for before even the Islam media start, they always been the part and parcel of it, and they are the few people, few souls that we call it really the line of Kashmir. And I would not say, going without saying, that Inayat Bhai Ponti, his team, as well as the Yusha Tayyub, Feroz Boda and many other, Zaid Patel. They've been at the really, really core, hardcore mujahid for the Kashmir. May Allah Ta'ala reward you to becoming the vice and providing this very important platform. Now, coming back to your point, Bhai, that we have discussed many times before, but it is important for us to put up a context to this Article 370 for the local audience, those who do not maybe understand that, like, what is the Article 370 and what is a 35A? What is it, where it's come from, what it is actually? So let me just put you in a historical context, which is going to set up our further discussion, and I think it will give us a direction. Now, before the India and Pakistan emerged as a two dominion, and at the time of the British liquidation in 1947, of course, there was a Quit India campaign. There was many other pressure, formation of the Muslim League and the Indian National Congress, so on and on, that the British was forced to leave. I mean, there were many other reasons why they have to leave. But of course, they wanted to dismantle the unity between the Muslims and the Hindus. Those was living in peacefully for 700 years under the Mughal emperor. Before even in 1858, before the British arrive and take it over the land of peaceful land of the India and Pakistan, which is called now subcontinent, there were 565 independent states. Those were directly have their chamber of prince in British Parliament. Now the problem happened is that those people, those who were actually these princes or this sovereign state, they were governed directly as a sovereignty under the paramountcy of the British Maharaj. Now, at the departure of the British, there was it was a 1935, the Act of Indian Independence. It was revised in 1947. Now, what was the Act of Independence? The Act of Independence was that British see themselves, they have to exit one way or another way. And when they were exiting, they say, now the new sovereign countries or the new dominion will be based on this formula. That was one is majority Hindu populous area will become Hindustan, the majority Muslim part will become Pakistan, and all the other independent states, those are Buddhist or Hindu or Maharaj, they have the right to either accede peacefully to India or Pakistan or remain independent, but there will be no more supervision or paramountcy from the British anymore. Now, when it's come to the awarding of these, the territories or exceeding, of course, 560, some of them went smoothly, but majority of them, the big Junagadh, Hyderabad, Meniwara, Kashmir, and many other ones, was forcefully incorporated by the India against the will of the ruler and the subject into the Hyderabad is one of the biggest and the richest used to be the Junagadh. When it's come to the incorporation or the taking over of the territory, which is 86,000 square kilometer, 3 times the size of a Great Britain, and it's a populace of 14 million people. Of course, the contiguity geographically and as well as a religious Pakistan border touches, and there was a civil war breakout when the Indian forces illegally landed in 1947 on the 27th of October. Now, Nehru took straight away a very predetermined decision that it will be a walk in a garden going to United Nations, taking this as a complaint that the Pakistan is interfering and there is a civil war has been break out and we should be giving the total territory into our hand. He was surprised by after listening the United Nations Security Council listening to the complaint from India and of course the counterclaim from Pakistan. They decided, and it is a very famous, the resolution 47 of 1948 come about, which says neither the India nor the Pakistan have any rightfulness onto the territory of Kashmir. Kashmir belonged to the Kashmiri people, and that's where it is. And India was given a task that to bring the normalcy into the region and call free and fair plebiscite within 3 months. Now, India accepted it. Jawaharlal Nehru issued a very famous at the All Indian in the New Delhi statement that we do not like forced marriages. If the people of Kashmir wanted to part away and they wanted to be with Pakistan or want to be independent, we will not force them to be, even though it will hurt us. Now, what happened is India denied that free and fair plebiscite for many excuses, and the time prolonged. United Nations issued 18 different, up to today, 18 different resolutions enforcing that this plebiscite must happen. Now, in 1954, the Indian government, not the BJP, the Congress, they infiltrated into the political system, and through the Sheikh Abdullah, they say, look, we have another deal for you. You still stay as a semi-autonomous status. We will only control three things. One is your fiscal. You don't print your currency. You don't have your own telecommunication, and also the border we will control through the military. You can have your own parliament. You can have political party. You can have education system, and you are completely independent, and you have a semi-autonomous status. Now, that was not taken by the majority of the people. Political, yes, structure accepted it, but it was not taken. That's why the uprising continued. We call it the first intifada. The second intifada happened in the 1989. And from there onward, of course, the Burhan Wani come, the new generation. And that has changed the whole game changer, because that proven that Burhan Wani and many other, Mannan and so many of them, they were indigenous Kashmiris. Like brother Irfan is sitting there. I'm surprised to see that he is not behind the bar. MashaAllah, Allah Ta'ala protect him. But that was a game changer. When the world seen that there is indigenous movement, is no longer the Indian can blame, then what happened is, okay, now let's go back just 1 minute more in 1954, when this new article was introduced, India changed its own constitution by 370, amendment bring 370, and 35A was belonged to Kashmir. Of course, it is 35A, B, C, Junagadh and many other territories, those who wanted to have their own independence, they were all given a semi-autonomous status. Okay. Now, in 2019, prelude to the BJP and Modi coming into the office, he had a project 44. I'm sure Irfan will know what is a project 44 was. A BJP was that when I'm going into the office, I will make sure by hook or by crook, Kashmir is no longer the part as a territorial or international territorial dispute. It will be taken by the force, and we will bring into the fold of Indian Union. And that exactly what he done in 2019 on the 5th of August against the wills. He put all the legislative authority and all the political prisoner into the house arrest, into the jail. 30,000 people was abducted, and then unilaterally, illegally, against the wishes of United Nations or any other party, Simla Accord, Tashkent Accord, they say is no longer valid, and we're dividing the territory into the Kashmir, into the valley, as well as into the Ladakh. Now, that is where the problem is. From there, of course, from the 1947 until today, over 100,000 people have been killed. It's not my figure, it's Amnesty International, human rights bodies. 7,000 mass graves have been found. Kunan Pushanpura is a black dark spot onto the Indian army. There are many incidents happened. Burhan Wani, when he died, is like 1 million people was in his funeral. And today, until today, every day, the media doesn't go quiet because of the Shaheed. May Allah Ta'ala reward him for his sacrifice. So now the article taking away the autonomous status, changing of the demography, changing of the status that you have, you as a Kashmiri, you lose your identity because the Kashmir is no longer the part of a Kashmir or any autonomous state. Any Indian, Hindu, or anybody else from any place can come and buy the land and live there illegally, and they were changing the electoral, they were changing the legislation, and still today, the Sheikh Abdullah and his son, most of the political leaders, Mirwaz and Jilani, most of them, some of them died. This is where is the double lockdown come about, and that's where is the injustice. And I hope and believe that this thing, Antonio Guterres have said on record, the Secretary General of the United Nations, that India Act, unilateral act, and the illegal act will not replace the international dispute territory status at the United Nations, and it still fall as it. So that is where is what we as a Kashmiris are saying, that abrogation or revoking of the article unilaterally was illegal, and we should be given our right back as a independent or semi-autonomous status.
Yes, Jazakallah for that, Salman Bhai. And I think, Salman Bhai has provided the historical context and also in the build-up. And we know it was, this is very relevant because it was on August the 5th, 2019, where the Article 370 was actually abrogated as well. So it is, exactly 6 years that we are talking about, Irfan. But, Salman has mentioned just so much. And again, when we're drawing these parallels between Israel and India, again, expansionist policies, the very same that we are seeing. And I think for people to understand what is happening in Kashmir is exactly the same. Like Salman Bhai alluded to the fact that anybody from India can come and now they can buy land or they can take over land in Kashmir. We see it happening in Palestine all the time. We see it. What's the plan, the greater plan for the Gaza, for Gaza is as well. And let's just talk about India now. India tried to justify this by saying that this Article 370 will usher in an era of peace, an era of development. It will pave the way for closer integration of the Kashmir Valley with the rest of India. Just your thoughts on India's justification and what India is claiming the Article 370 is supposed to do for them.
Right. See, like Mr. Salman, rightly pointed out the historical context of the whole, Kashmir issue. I don't need that to elaborate anymore. But the point is, if we talk about the current political scenario or the status of Jammu and Kashmir and what is exactly happened and what actually people are talking about here is post 2019, like I earlier said that there is a huge transition from the demands of resolution of Kashmir issue to the demands of restoration of statehood in Article 370 and 35A. As of now, I am talking to you. There are people in the mainstream who have a different stakes, and there are people in the Hurriyat conference, or as India called them, separatists. They have a different stakes and opinion towards the issue. Their demands have been really very different. Now the point is, as of now, Jammu and Kashmir is struggling politically, as well as the resolution of Kashmir is somewhere lost in between the conflict of interests of the those who demand resolution of Kashmir issue as per the United Nations, and between those who want integration with the Union of India. Now the point is, those political parties who had ruled Jammu and Kashmir over the several decades, like the Muftis and Abdullahs, especially the Farooq Abdullah, and now the son of the Farooq Abdullah, Mr. Omar Abdullah, is the chief minister in the Union Territory. That is also a serious concern for India now, because these are the people who have sought pledge to be with the Union of India for several decades so far, but now they are demanding the restoration of the real status that was given to the people of Jammu and Kashmir post accession between the JNK and the Union of India. As of now, the agenda of the Bharatiya Janata Party, that is the ruling party in the India, like Mr. Salman rightly pointed out, had a mission, and that mission was definitely that the Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, is somehow to be integrated, and the Article 370 and 35A is a main hurdle between the integration and the Union of India. But there are definitely serious challenges for the India in Jammu and Kashmir as of now. As after the abrogation of 370, there are challenges for the people from different parts of India. As they are not exactly able to buy land here because of the several issues. Like there is definitely a huge cultural difference. They are not able to actually make the return of the Kashmiri Panthas, possible. That is also raising serious concern before the Modi government, because when they are not able to make the return of Kashmiri Panthas possible to their homeland, how the people of India can, have trust on the present regime, and they will go ahead and buy land in Kashmir that is sensitive. There are, everyday reports of gunfights and some serious challenges to the security establishments. Like recently, Kashmir witnessed, a huge and massive attack in Pahalgam. That definitely shows that there is a resistance within Kashmir as of now, even though the government of India claims that there is huge normalcy in last 5 to 6 years after the abrogation of 370. One point I agree with the current regime is that definitely they were able to choke down or to normalize the street protests and the protests that were actually organized and handled by the separatist organizations like Hurriyat Conference. They were able to have some control on them, because dozens and scores of leaders of those organizations are already behind bars. Some of the senior leaders of Hurriyat Conference have passed away, and a huge number of, in fact, the pro Hurriyat Conference ideological people were taken to task by the security establishments. That led them to somehow take control over the streets of Kashmir. But definitely there are still people who definitely demand a resolution for Kashmir issue. The sentiment is alive. In fact, the mainstream political parties, like the one is in the ruling, the National Conference, and the top leaders from the National Conference, as well as the opposition, led by the member Mufti of People's Democratic Party, they also demand Union of India, that the status and the identity of J&K that was given via Article 370 and 35A should be given back to them. In fact, they are also demanding for the restoration of statehood. That is what is challenged by these political parties and several other groups in the Supreme Court, that is the highest court in India, and that is expected to be heard on the 8th of the August. In fact, I would like to share a very important information with you. That is, tomorrow there is a meeting of opposition political parties and leaders in New Delhi going to happen, in which the former Chief Minister and the patron of National Conference, he is also father of the present Chief Minister Umar Abdullah. He said that they are going to appeal these political opponents of BJP to support them to voice against what has happened in 2019 with Jammu and Kashmir, and they want these all political parties across party lines to support Jammu and Kashmir for the restoration of statehood and their identity. That is what is important to understand right now. There is also, voices within the Congress, that is the major opposition of the BJP in India, who are opposing the what has happened in 2019. The Bharatiya Janata Party bifurcated the state of J&K. Ladakh was separated. Now there are also voices that and also supported by the BJP, that the Jammu province may be separated and given a different separate status, and Kashmir may be kept as a union territory like Chandigarh and other states in India who were converted or actually, in fact, right now as operating as union territories. There are a lot of confusion in Jammu and Kashmir within the political domain, because on the anniversary of Article 370, 6th anniversary, there were a lot of rumors on social media and within the political groups that there will be some major development in regard to the Jammu and Kashmir, because there is an ongoing monsoon parliament session going on in Indian Parliament, in which it's expected that the issue of Jammu and Kashmir is to be debated, and that is what the National Conference, which is the party in the power in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir right now, is demanding that a bill should be passed for the restoration of statehood. But that is what is happening inside the political affairs of J&K, and within the political parties who have sought pledge on the Constitution of India. But there are also people across the globe who definitely want a better resolution for Kashmir as per the United Nations.
Jazakallah for that, Brother Irfan. And let's bring Salman again back into the discussion. Salman, as soon as you get on screen, I'm not, there we go. Okay. Salman Bhai, I think once again, this is extremely important, because when we look at even Mehbooba Mufti, I mean, she actually tweeted about this, where she spoke about, she says, on August the 4th, 2019, we were silenced. On August the 5th, our voices, our rights, our constitution was taken without our consent. What was ours by birth and by belonging was stripped away overnight. And that, in effect, had actually happened. And this is a very powerful statement. It's a very, very profound statement. The key issue, and as Irfan alluded to, with regards to the court, now August the 8th, obviously, is going to be another defining date as well, as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, because we know that there hasn't been a shred of justice that has been meted out to the people of Kashmir. And this is the reason why we see this outrage that Irfan speaks about across many spectrums, across many political divides, even making mention of the likes of Congress in India as well. The key and the most critical issue is, with a BJP government in India, is it at all possible? Because, we've seen what Indian media is all about. We've seen what Indian justice is all about, their judicial system, their legislative framework. All of this put together tells me that the odds are heavily stacked against Kashmir.
Yes. Do you want me to come in?
Yes, please.
Okay. Jazakallah. Thank you. Thanks for Irfan and your insertions. I like to just insert. There's three things. Then I will continue with my fourth, which is very close to your heart, about the dual Nakba between Palestine, the parallel that you have mentioned a few times. When Irfan talk about the normalization to extend and give the credit to the Indian government, I like to just expand on it and say, you have 1 million soldiers controlling the populace of Kashmiri people, where you cut off the internet, you cut off everything. Hundreds and thousands of the journalists has been put into the graves, and over 30,000 youth has been abducted, and we do not know. From the 2019 today, we do not know. Our political leadership, Mehbooba Mufti and Sheikh Abdullah and his son, all of them is being our leaders, those who are supposed to be the voice of Kashmiris, have been curtailed, completely gone. Jilani Sahib died in the middle of the night, and his body was even not be able to be like buried in a Muslim or our ritualistic way. He was just snatched from the house. Nobody was allowed to go to the Qabristan, and middle of the night he was buried. So now, if you have every 50 meter a soldier controlling the movement and license to kill, shoot to kill, of course, you're going to bring some sort of agitation to the point. But is the Kashmiri people, the new generation, have given up? No. The mothers is still saying, my son is ready, he's 18, go and fight for the liberation. And no emperor or no regime have ever, through the history, panel of the history, you can check, no power, whether it's a Pharaoh, whether it's Alexander III dynasties, Han dynasty, any dynasty around the world, Genghis Khan, have ever ruled successfully against the will of the people of the land. Those who say, no, this is my land. Kashmiri, we saying, this is my land, leave us alone. And this will continue for another 100 years. Doesn't matter how many people you kill, because the more you kill, the we will multiply, we will not be depleted. One. Secondly, when we talk about the Article 370 to be discussed, we welcome it. But why it has been discussed now all of a sudden? Because there is a hidden part of it. The India or BJP under the Modi has given more publicity and internationalized the issue of Kashmir than any other person have done in the last 76 years. And the Irfan mentioned about the Operation Sandur, which became an Operation Tandur, because of the Laka donor hiding that has been India has been given, humiliated defeat by a small tiny country like Pakistan has put India onto the knees at the Washington 3 o'clock in the morning, that if Pakistani sorties return with the refueling, there will be no more Delhi, and our atomic plants have already been completely compromised, and our air defense system is gone. So there will be no more India left. So that was under pressure, and it was made very clear by the Pakistan supreme leaders that there will be no compromise until unless the abrogation, and the India must actually revise its thinking on Kashmir. So that was the point. Now the Modi and his regime, Jay Shankar, trying to sugarcoat that, oh no, that is a technical issue. No, there is a 5 year, 6 years has been in that court. Why it is urgency? Because there is a daddy sitting in Washington who's saying, no, you must deal with it and bring it to. Now, my another question is, when the Modi brought, Irfan will be able to expand it maybe more detail, when you take the territory by force, why you divide it into the Ladakh 2 region and make 2 different territories before it used to be the 1 region? You taking it by the power, you do it unilaterally, illegally. That was a reason. Because India realized it after the demise of Burhan Wani, and he see the internationalization of it, that there is a referendum on the card is going to come. So they said, let's divide the Indian occupied territories into the Ladakh and the Jammu and Kashmir Valley. So if there is a pressure build-up, we say there is a problem. Ladakh is not a problem. It is a big territory. Let's have a referendum into the place and let it go. So that was a strategy by the BJP to divide that land into that. And that is, I think, under a duress and under the extreme international pressure at the moment. Internationally, Pakistan on a high moral ground, and Pakistan made it very, very clear that you have actually created for the last 70 years too many hostilities. In Kashmir is a mere core issue, and the surrender or the ceasefire was negotiated on the issue of the Kashmir need to be dealt with, which Donald Trump make it very clear that yes, it is the thing that he like to do. Now, Anand, you draw the parallel of dual Nakba between the Gaza, and both of them almost similar. I have my, you read my book, and I have spent a lot of time on looking at that thing. I like to bring it a new dimension, if you allow me to, within 3 to 4 minutes, new dimension to the talks, and I'll leave it you to expand on it, and Irfan to expand on it, and our listener to expand on it and think about it. Look at the map before the last crusader, the 13th crusader, when they fight and they get defeated, they realize it that you cannot break the power of Ottoman Empire or any Muslim empire until unless you infiltrate and break them into the different groups, right? So where was if you put the map on a wall, and I invite you to put up a map on a wall, see where was the nucleus of power of Ottoman Empire, whole of from the Persian border all the way to the, I would say, Arab Peninsula. There was a huge empire of going all the way to Cordoba in Spain and so on and on. The other nucleus of power of a Muslim was from Tashkent all the way to Bhutan, to the Sri Lanka, India, Pakistan, and part of some sort of Iran, Sistanistan as well. Now, the British or the Knight Templar or the Crusader went after the defeat at the hands of the Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi and the 13th Crusader. They realized that there is no way we can fight a conventional war and break the power of Muslims into the regions. So what they done, they infiltrated the Lawrence of Arabia in 1900, and of course they brought the British as a Dutch, the Anglo-Indian company into the building. Now, here, what they done, they created the Arab National Uprising. They say the Budayan, the House of Saud, is the owner of the Makkah Medina Ottoman occupier, and they destroyed it through the help of a British. And now that is a history that we are still dealing with it. And what is the Balfour Declaration and everything else happened. So they divided the whole of the Arab Peninsula that was once known as the Sultanate Usmani or Ottoman Empire into the pieces. That is the French Protectorate, this is the British, this is the Russian, and totally dismantle the power of Muslims, and they leave it into the blocks. Now we're suffering in Palestine, they left it behind. Now in India and Pakistan, they were living, this is the same land which was peacefully people living together for 700 years. They say, no, the Hindus are a better nation, cannot be ruled under the Muslim, and they divided the India, Pakistan, and then there is a Ceylon, and there is a Tashkent, and everybody else. What is a common denominator in between two? That is the dual Lagba, to break the power of a Muslim. One is a Zionist entity of the Israel, the other one was a Hindu, BJP driven, the Hindu Datwa. Those are two together. What is India? Trade with the Israel is one of the biggest purchaser and the biggest investor into the military hardware of the Israelis. And that's what the fact is. Now, if you look at it, what it is happening in the illegally occupied Palestine, exactly the copycat what's happening into the territory of our beautiful land of Kashmir. So the both places is suffer at the hand of a British, and who are the occupier? One is the Zionist, the Jews, the other one, the Hindu Zionist. And that's what it is, what we're dealing with it now. It started at the same time, 1947, 1948. So I think there is a commonality between two, and we are at the suffering hand on the both side. So I think
Jazakallah, yes, Jazakallah for that. Irfan, let's just talk about is there any reason to be optimistic about something positive on Jammu and Kashmir in this monsoon session of Parliament? I mean, do we have any reason to be optimistic. And even when one looks at the various combinations or permutations that one can actually think about in terms of what could likely happen. I mean, are you optimistic?
See, there may be some development in terms of the restoration of statehood because the Home Minister of India, Mr. Amit Shah, has promised this to the people of Jammu and Kashmir on the floor of the House that it will be restored, on appropriate time. But as of now, the way the political leadership of Jammu and Kashmir, the mainstream leadership I am talking about, as they demand that this is the right time when the statehood should be restored and people of Jammu and Kashmir have a right, in this democracy to, work for the welfare of their own people. There are also appeals from the present government in JNK that similar voices should support the restoration of the statehood. But there is no, I hope, I believe, for the restoration of the rights that were given to the people of Jammu and Kashmir, including Ladakh, through Article 370 and 35A, because, like Mr. Salman rightly said, this was the mission of the Bharatiya Janata Party-led government, that they have a kind of a blueprint how to integrate Jammu and Kashmir into the Union of India, amid all sorts of ideologies and the protests in Jammu and Kashmir since last few decades. In fact, there are also oppositions within the mainstream, against this move of abrogation of 370 and 35A in 2019. But the point is that will be there, any development regarding the restoration of statehood in this monsoon session of Indian Parliament? That is yet to see, because there we have we recently witnessed some attacks in Kashmir. There are also gunfights between the people who fight for the resolution of Kashmir against the Indian forces. But I believe there is definitely a clear vision with the Bharatiya Janata Party-led government, that they are actually trying to implement, phase-wise. There are also apprehensions within the political lobbies that maybe now or sometime later there may be a further division between Jammu and the Kashmir Valley, as there are also demands from the different communities, except Muslim communities from the Jammu division, that the Jammu should be separated from the Kashmir. So it is really getting very difficult scenario for the Jammu, Kashmir, and Ladakh since last many years. In fact, particularly from the day when the Article 370 was abrogated, because that actually made Indian government to have some serious amendments into the laws that were actually, supervising the functioning of the JNK, which was once a princely state, as rightly Mr. Salman pointed out in his historical context. Now, I'm again trying to, highlight this point, that since the abrogation of 2019 has changed a lot, changed in a way. There were times when there were protests, demands, and struggles for the resolution of Kashmir issue. Now the same people are fighting and raising voices for the restoration of statehood, restoration of their rights that were given through the Article 370 and 35A. This is the serious transition of Kashmir after 2019. Right, Mr. Salman pointed out that I somehow tried to give credit to the present government in India by saying that there was some success by the current regime for controlling the mass protests that were happening before 2019, or the street protests. This here I want to say that but this was not exactly the credit I was trying to give. This was the change that I was trying to highlight here. That what has happened after the abrogation of Article 370 after 2019, and these changes are definitely because there is a strong control of the Indian security forces on the streets of Kashmir, including Jammu, and these protests are somehow seen as impossible now because there are stringent laws that are being enforced against those people what India called as anti-India elements now, once they were called as separatists. That is what exactly I am again and again trying to highlight. What is the transition that has happened from 2019 to the current date of 2025 in Jammu and Kashmir. That is an internationally recognized a political dispute between the two countries that has been awaiting a significant resolution. A lot of people have lost their lives in the uh, uh, in the ideological difference with the state of India. And in fact, within Jammu and Kashmir, while I have reported all these years, I have seen there is one a serious setback to the resolution of Kashmir within JNK. That is the ideological split. We have people who want a Kashmir should be an independent state or independent entity on this planet. There are people who want that we should be part of Pakistan. But yes, of course, I can tell you with authority, there are people who want to be integrated with the Union of India. So as far as these ideological spirit in the Jammu and Kashmir are there, I believe this political resolution is impossible. And uh, though there is a government in India which is very hard on the separatism, they are always trying all their efforts to thwart any ideology that they don't deem fit to their own ideology or mission towards Kashmir. There are people who are still in jails, like Mr. Salman rightly pointed out. There are people who are not able to raise voice against the current, regime. Of course, because this is what has changed after 2019. In fact, the leaders like Mehbooba Mufti and Umar Abdullah, also several times has raised their concerns. Mr. Salman pointed out the mainstream leaders even have faced house detentions after 2019. You can understand from my these points the state of affair in Jammu and Kashmir when there is no scope for any revolt on the streets, and in fact, there is no hope left for the restoration of the political rights that was, given to the people of Jammu and Kashmir after the accession, with the India. uh, Now, the leaders and the people of Kashmir hope that if the restoration of statehood is done by the government of India, there may be some discussions or the bill being tabled. Uh, that can be a sign of relief because politically, that this is what was put before the people of Jammu and Kashmir by the national conference during the recently held elections. That can be a sign of relief because people in jail, there are people in jails, there are stringent laws being enforced. So there, people think that they may have some sign of relief, at least. If not, they are hoping for the restoration of all of the rights that were abrogated, or some people say that snatched from the people of J&K. But again, the point is where Jammu and Kashmir is heading. Is there any hope within the people, across the globe, that there may be some serious resolution to the Kashmir one day?
Jazakallah for that. Salman Bhai, we've got about 8 minutes to go. So, but just, this whole question about restoration of statehood, how much can we believe what someone like Amit Shah is saying in terms of restoration of statehood? When is the right time? When is the appropriate time? Or are we expected to see the situation get even worse? And the reason why I'm asking this question, and again, we talk about parallels between Palestine and Kashmir. At one point in time, Israel agreed to a two-state solution. Today, what is Benjamin Netanyahu saying? The two-state solution is off the table. Now it is ethnic cleansing. Now we need to move them out. And again, the question is, can we believe what people like Amit Shah is saying, that at some point in time in the future, at an appropriate time, statehood will be restored?
Good. Thank you. I will try to be as brief as possible. I think that when Irfan started, he said that Kashmir struggle in transition. It has been in transition for the last 70 years. I can tell you that before it was a confusion. It was a trust that was in 1947. Then the Nehru will bring some sort of a free and fair publicized. And India's biggest fear is the no for the last 70 years. They denying and they're delaying it, but the justice can be delayed but cannot be denied. So they have a fear that there is definitely one thing is going to happen. Out of the two options, either they will go for independence, which is no good for the India, or they will go full out to in accession with Pakistan. And the both possibilities are 50-50. The both can happen. Okay. I'm not advocating what side must be. I said give my people, give my sister and brother a right for self-determination. I'm sure Irfan will say the same thing, because once that is given, which way they want to be go. They want to go India, let it be. Where they want to be Pakistan. But India, no. The free and fair plebiscite, it's going to definitely destroy their image. Now, the game has changed. Between the 7th and 8th of the May, between the 6th and 7th and 8th, when the short war happened, the total dominance of Indian hegemony and this dominance on the skies and economy and everything else is become completely dismantled for the next 100 years to come. They realize it, that they have no supremacy on the military field as well as on the skies, and they were almost got wiped off within next 24 hours if the Donald Trump did not ask Pakistan to stop the retaliation. So that has put them into this bargaining position where they realized it was due to the Kashmir this issue come that we could have been completely liberated from the face of the earth. Now they are going back because the next election is going to come. BJP need a landsliding victory, and Kashmir is going to let them down, because if they do not bring the peace there, it is going to be a problem. Now let's look at it very importantly for our listeners and for our all the people, those who are watching and listening. Who is Modi? He raised from the ashes of a Gujarat massacre. In 2010, 2,000 Muslims died. From there, he rose to the offices of from the mayor to the prime minister. And of course, somebody who had blood on his hand, he coming to the place, he destroyed the Indian lustrous and a beautiful, dignified image of a secularism and a pluralistic society to the secularistic, become a completely a Hindu Datava state, BJP driven. And that has taken away the Indian, that the pride that India used to have it, a secular state, a harmonic state, where the India have a melody of the people live in a harmony. That is gone now, no longer. It's not only the Christians and Buddhists and Muslims, every minority is suffering there. Aqab bill has been taken. Over 500,000, the bargas, the masajid and the qabristan has been taken away, the rights, and then now the temples are coming, and where the qabristan was, now the temple has been built. Now, he play on demagogy, and I'll tell you what our demagogy the Modi play.
Salman,
biggest...
I've got 3 minutes.
Okay.
I'm sorry to stop you. If you could just, I just want to give
Sum it up.
just a final word, please. Yes.
Okay. So what I want to just quickly say, that he play on Pakistan anti-Pakistani sentiment. Now that has become a defeated end. So now he has to change his politics very fast. Otherwise, he'll be gone down. Now, the freedom for the Kashmir, or no freedom by the oppressor, has been ever offered to any nation on the solar perimeter. Kashmiri were fighting. They are still fighting. They will continue to fight for 100,000 a year. They will get their freedom. And I think the most important thing is United Nations Universal Declaration of the Human Rights, 43 articles, and another ISPR. None of them exist in Kashmir, and that is very important for our audience. The freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of association. The 4 kids cannot go to the school, primary school, in a group, because that's called a mob. So we need to work from South African platform to make sure that our brother and sister, those who live in a fear, my beautiful sisters, those who want to go to the school, they should be given a right to go to the school, and the religious freedom and every other freedom. And of course, the Kashmir Azadi in our life, inshallah ta'ala, it will be
Inshallah,
coming.
Ameen.
It will not be done.
Jazakallah khairan so much for
Jazakallah. Thank you.
Jazakallah for that. Yes. Irfan, we've got about a minute as well. Just some final thoughts.
I believe the resolution of Kashmir issue needs international attention from the global community, and there must be a dialogue process that has to be started between the stakeholders. And as of now, the issue with the Jammu and Kashmir, apart from the resolution of Kashmir, that may take some time or maybe longer. The restoration of statehood and the rights of people are very important. All eyes are on the current monsoon session that is going on in the Indian Parliament. We hope that it is restored and people of J&K have some relief.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khairan so much for that, Irfan Quraishi, journalist, joining us out of Kashmir, and also to you, Salman Khan, for your time with us. And inshallah, looking forward to further discussions. And clearly, obviously, we will be following matters with interest. And let's just see what the Supreme Court, and also looking at this monsoon session that they've been talking about. So all of that we will be watching very, very closely. But for now, we thank you for your time, both of you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Irfan Quraishi and Salman Khan with us, and that brings us to the end of part 1 of this evening's edition of In Conversation with myself, Inayat Wadi. And coming up next, we are joined by a panel of medical experts taking a look at the medical side of the starvation in Gaza, looking at the medical and the psychological consequences, and what medically and what psychologists, what psychiatrists actually say about this man-made starvation. So that's quite an interesting topic. We've assembled quite a panel this evening. Stay with us. Don't go away. We'll be back.